Hello and welcome back to StudentBlue.com.
In this lecture, we're going to learn about access modifier. So what is access modifier? Access modifier in Java specifies accessibility of data member, method, constructor, or a class. There are four types of Java access modifiers: default, private, protected, and public. So basically what that means is access modifiers allows or restricts access, right, of your variables, right, or your method to your other classes, right? So if you have a private method, right, in your class, right, and now your other class would not be able to use your method because you've said that your method is private. Similarly, if your method is public, now any class can use your method. So now let's see the rules of this access modifiers, right? So let's say if you do private, let's go from private first, right? So if you have a private, you'll be able to use that variable. You have access to that method or the member or a class within the same class. Okay, so you have access to that variable or a method within the same class. However, even if it's the same package but different class, you don't have access. Same package, non-subclass, no access. Different package, subclass, no access. Different package, non-subclass, no access. Right? Protected. Now, if you look at, before we go protected, let's go default. Default means you haven't defined the variable. You just said integer, or you don't say public, or you don't say private or anything, right? So if you haven't declared anything, then it comes default. Now, if you look in here with the default, same class, yes. Same package, yes. So let's say you have class 1 and you have the variables, right? Without declared anything. You haven't declared anything on that variable. It's the private or public. You haven't declared anything. If the class is in the same package, you have access to that method or a variable, right? Same package, non-subclass, yes. Okay, so you have access to that as well. Okay, even though it's not a subclass. So now, different package, subclass? No, no. So as long as you are in the same package, right, you have access to that variable or method. Okay, so now protected. So protected, basically, if you're in the same class, yes. Same package, yes. Same package, non-subclass, yes. Different package, subclass, yes. Different package, non-subclass, no. So what that basically means is, in order to, let's say you have create a class that has a protected method or a variable, right? So in order to use that, right, if your class is outside that package, you actually have to inherit that class. Okay, once you inherit, then you have access to that variable. Okay, so if your class is in different packages, if you want access to that variable, you need to inherit that class. Okay, so now with public, we've been using all the time, you can have access to all this methods. Okay, if your method is public or variable is public, your same class, same package, or different class, different package, it doesn't matter. You have access to that method or a variable. Okay, so now let's go and try to understand how the private access modifier works. So like I said, private means only accessible within class. So now if you look into this private class in here, I got this class customer, right? And I created this variable age, okay, and I declared this private. So it's a private variable. And I got this private method here, messes, okay, void messes, so it doesn't return anything. It has a parameter named string name, and it's gonna say, okay, hello, whatever the name, right? So now if I go and create, like if I have another class in here, right, and I have this main method in here, okay, it's in the same package, right? Same package. And I got this new class private, and I've got this main method here. And I try to create this customer 1 new customer, and I do system.println. Right, I'm able to create an object, but I'm not able to access the age variable. I'm not able to access the message method. Right, it's gonna throw an error. So as you can see here, it says age has private access in this customer class. Java.message has private access. So basically with private, although you're in the same package, you're kind of stuck, right? You cannot use this age, or you cannot use this message, right? The only way you could actually do that is using inheritance. So let's go into IntelliJ in here. So I'm actually going to create a package in here. I'm going to do access modifiers. Okay, let's ignore this one. So in here, I'm actually going to create a class, and I'm going to name it customer. And in here, I'm going to create a private variable. So I'm going to say age 40. And also I'm going to create a private method in here. So I'm going to say string name. Okay, system.out.println. So I'm going to say string.format. Oops. String.format, and I'm going to say here hello. And in here I'm going to put name. So I got this private variable, okay, variable age, private age variable, and private message method. So now if I create a private example in here, public static void main string args. So in here, right, so I can create customer equal customer 1 equal new customer. So customer 1 dot age, right? So when I do that, right, so let's print out the customer age in here. I'm actually going to do customer 1, oops, customer 1 dot masses and John. Okay, and I run it. Then you can see here Java age has private access, right? Age has private. Java message has private access. So since you've got this private, right, you don't have that access. Okay, so how do you actually solve this problem then, right? How do you? I want to make this age variable as private, but I also wanted to get that age. How do I do that? Well, we already learned about encapsulation, right? So we're gonna actually do encapsulation. So basically what happens is we're gonna actually create a getter and setter method here. So I'm gonna do getter and I'm gonna do age. So now I can do get age. All right, as you can see here, right? So I was able to do get age getter method. So I was able to get the age, right? But the method here, I'm still getting an error. And you can see here, you know, from this access modifier, you're not supposed to call the private method in another class. That's why it's private. The only workaround to get to call this private method is to use the reflect class, right? java.lang.reflect class. But that is outside our scope, so we'll not be able to learn how to do that, right? But normally, as for Java standards, right? So once you're a private, the other class should not be able to call your method. The one way the variables, you have a getter and setter method, so you'll be able to access those variables, right? However, method, if you have a private, the other method would not be able to call that. So that's it for this lecture. I will see you guys in our next lecture.